The seer looked at her intently and spoke words that resonated with both caution and insight. "Child," the seer began, his voice carrying the weight of experience, "do not be in a haste to amass wealth. Do not let greed or impatience lead you astray. And above all, avoid anything that goes against the laws of goodness and righteousness. It will not go well for you in the end." Once upon a time, in a small village nestled amidst green hills and flowing streams, there lived a young girl named Adanne. She was a bright and determined young girl, but life had not been easy for her. Her family was poor, struggling to make ends meet, and after finishing secondary school, Adanne dreamt of going to the university. However, the harsh reality of their financial situation shattered her dreams. Determined to help her aging parents and create a better future, Adanne made a bold decision. She packed few of her belongings and bid farewell to her village, setting out for the bustling city of Owerri. Her heart was heavy with uncertainty, but her spirit burned with resilience and hope. Upon reaching the city, Adanne found herself squatting in a tiny room with her friend from the village. Despite the cramped space and humble beginnings, she was grateful for a roof over her head. To sustain herself, Adanne took up a job as a waitress in a local restaurant near her place. Days turned into weeks, and the weeks into months, as Adanne toiled tirelessly, serving customers with a warm smile and determined spirit. The city life was fast-paced and challenging, but Adanne never wavered in her resolve. She saved every penny she could, envisioning a brighter future not just for herself, but also for her family back in the village. One evening, as Adanne sat by her window after a long day's work, gazing at the city lights shimmering in the distance, a spark ignited within her. She imagined owning a restaurant of her own, a place where people from all walks of life would gather to savour delicious meals and create cherished memories. With newfound determination, Adanne set her plan in motion. She saved diligently, cutting down unnecessary expenses. Finally, the day arrived when she could afford to rent a small, humble apartment of her own. It was just a single room in a modest building, but to Adanne, it felt like the first step towards her dream. Filled with excitement and ambition, Adanne wasted no time. She put her skills to work and started her own food business. Instead of waiting for customers to come to her, she decided to take her delicious meals directly to the people. Equipped with a sturdy wheelbarrow and a heart full of determination, Adanne began hawking her food in the bustling streets of her neighborhood. As she pushed her wheelbarrow, calling out the names of her mouth-watering dishes, Adanne felt a sense of pride and accomplishment. She was not just selling food, she was serving happiness on plates, spreading joy with every satisfied customer. As Adanne continued with her food business, initially things went well. She had a steady stream of customers, both from nearby villages and the town itself. Her delicious meals became a favorite among many, and her wheelbarrow was often surrounded by eager customers waiting for a taste of her special dishes. However, as time passed, Adanne encountered a rough patch. Sales dwindled, and the once bustling streets seemed quieter. This sudden downturn in her business worried Adanne deeply. She had been sending money regularly to her parents in the village, especially for her father's medications and their basic needs. Despite this financial strain, Adanne remained determined to keep her business afloat. Every morning, she would wake up with renewed hope, pushing her wheelbarrow through the streets, calling out to potential customers with a smile on her face. It was not easy, but Adanne's resilience and unwavering faith kept her going. She believed that with hard work and faith in God, things would eventually turn around. As months went by, Adanne's persistence bore fruit. Her savings slowly accumulated, and she finally had enough to consider renting a space for her food business. The thought of having a permanent location filled her with joy and relief. No more working under the scorching sun, no more worrying about finding customers in different corners of the neighborhood. With a sense of accomplishment, Adanne signed the rental agreement for a small shop in a bustling market area. It was not the grand restaurant she dreamt of yet, but it was a significant step forward. She could now set up for her food store comfortably, attract more customers, and focus on expanding her menu. Gratitude filled Adanne's heart as she looked around her new space. She thanked God for guiding her through tough times and providing her with the strength to persevere. Faith was an integral part of her life, and she never forgot to express her gratitude in prayer. I am thankful, dear God, Adanne whispered as she knelt down in her new shop. You have blessed me with this opportunity, and I promise to work hard and make the most of it. Adanne's faith was not just words, it reflected in her actions. She continued to attend church regularly, finding solace and strength in her prayers. Putting God first in her life gave her the courage to face challenges head on and the humility to remain grateful for every blessing, big or small. With renewed determination and a deep sense of gratitude, Adanne looked ahead with hope and excitement. She knew that this small shop was just the beginning of her journey. Someday, she believed, she would indeed own a big restaurant, a place where people would gather not just for food, but for laughter, joy, and shared moments of happiness. And so, with faith as her compass and determination as her guide, Adanne continued to work hard every day. Months passed, and Adanne's small restaurant business began to take shape. Her humble shop, adorned with colorful curtains and a welcoming sign, attracted customers looking for delicious meals served with a touch of love and care. Adanne poured her heart and soul into every dish, hoping to revive her business and fulfill her dreams. However, life had more challenges in store for Adanne. Tragedy struck when her beloved father passed away. The loss was not just emotional, but also financial, as Adanne had to use up her hard-earned savings to give her father a befitting burial. As the Ada first daughter and the only child of her parents, it was her responsibility and she fulfilled it with love and respect. The days that followed the funeral were some of the darkest for Adanne. Grief weighed heavily on her heart, and the once bustling shop now seemed quieter than ever. She had spent considerable time in the village, supporting her mother and attending to family matters, which led to a decline in her business. To make matters worse, a new competitor had set up a similar food business near Adanne's shop. Customers who used to frequent her shop now diverted their attention to the new establishment. Adanne felt like she was losing everything she had worked so hard for. Each evening, as she closed her shop with a heavy heart and minimal sale, tears streamed down Adanne's cheeks. She felt broken and lost. unsure of how to revive her struggling business. But amidst her pain, one thing remained constant: her faith in God. Adanne turned to prayers, pouring out her heart to God in the moments of solitude. "Dear God," she whispered, wiping away her tears, "please bless my business. Help me regain my customers which I have lost. I trust in your plan even when things seem tough." Despite the challenges, Adanne never wavered in her faith. She continued to attend church services and programs, finding solace in the community and the teachings that strengthened her spirit. She volunteered to clean the church and extend her help to the less privileged, believing that acts of kindness would bring blessings to her own life. However, despite her unwavering faith and efforts, Adanne's business struggle persisted. It felt like an uphill battle, with each day bringing more disappointment than success. Yet she refused to give up hope. "I may not understand why this is happening, but I trust that God has a plan," Adanne shared with her friend one evening. "I'll keep working hard and praying for a breakthrough." Her friend nodded, offering words of encouragement. "You are strong, Adanne. Don't lose hope. Keep believing in yourself and in God's timing." With determination in her heart and prayers on her lips, Adanne faced each new day, holding on to her faith and hoping for a brighter tomorrow. As days stretched into weeks and weeks into months, Adanne found herself trapped in a cycle of challenges with her business. Despite her unwavering faith and hard work, the problems seemed to persist, casting a shadow of doubt and frustration over her dreams. One morning, as she prepared to open her shop for the day's business, a heavy feeling weighed on Adanne's heart. She couldn't shake off the nagging feeling that something was terribly wrong with her. Maybe she was cursed, or maybe there was some unseen force working against her success. With a resolve to find answers, Adanne decided it was time to seek help from her roots, the village where her journey began. That fateful day, Adanne cooked her meals with a mix of determination and sadness. Anger simmered beneath the surface as she thought about the challenges she faced. Unlike other days, she didn't start her business with a prayer. It was a small deviation from her routine, but one that would have significant consequences. After arranging her market and waiting for customers for nearly 4 hours, not a single soul entered her shop. The bustling activity that usually surrounded her shop was replaced by silence. Adanne's heart sank as she realized the gravity of the situation. Something was amiss, and it felt like her worst fears were coming true. Across the way, she glanced at her neighbor's shop, bustling with customers lined up in queues. The stark contrast was a painful reminder of her own struggles. With tears welling up in her eyes, Adanne retreated into her shop, feeling defeated and cursed by misfortune. "I must be cursed," she whispered to herself, the weight of her words heavy in the air. Why else would everything go wrong? Despite the bleakness of the day, a few customers walked in later, eating some of her food. Adanne managed to sell what she could and shared the remaining food with her neighbor's children, a gesture of kindness that brought a fleeting sense of comfort amidst her turmoil. That night, as Adanne sat alone in her room, the darkness around her mirrored the heaviness in her heart. She poured out her sorrow to God, seeking solace and a glimmer of hope. "Please, God, change my story," she whispered through tears. "Tomorrow I'll seek answers in my village." Perhaps there I will find the solution I need. With a mix of determination and resignation, Adanne managed to find sleep that night, knowing that the next morning would be mark the beginning of a new chapter, a journey to her roots in search of answers and a change in her fortunes. As the first rays of dawn filtered through her window, Adanne stirred from her restless sleep, ready to embark on a journey of faith, hope, and the quest for a brighter future. That early morning, with determination etched on her face, Adanne set out on a journey that held the promise of answers. She made her way to the bustling motor park, where buses crisscrossed the country, connecting lives and stories. Boarding a bus bound for her village, Adanne found herself lost in a whirlwind of thoughts and emotions. As the bus rumbled along the winding roads, Adanne's mind raced with possibilities. Was she cursed? Was someone trying to sabotage her success? Did her village hold secrets that were now unraveling in her life? The questions danced in her mind, each one adding to the weight on her shoulders. After 2 hours of travel, the bus arrived at Adanne's village, stepping onto familiar soil, filled with a mix of apprehension. She made her way to her father's house, where memories of laughter and love intertwined with the heaviness of recent struggles. Her mother greeted her with open arms, a warm smile masking the concern in her eyes. "Welcome home, my dear," her mother said, embracing Adanne tightly. Tears welled up in Adanne's eyes as she hugged her mother back. "I've missed you, Mama," she whispered, her voice choked with emotion. Her mother sensed the turmoil in Adanne's heart and gently asked, "How have you been, my child?" Adanne tried to put on a brave face, but the weight of her struggles was too much to bear alone. "I've been trying, Mama," she said, her voice trembling, "but everything seems to be falling apart." Her mother's heart broke seeing her daughter in distress. She held Adanne's hand and spoke words of comfort. "Don't lose hope, my dear. God sees your efforts and He will make a way." That night, as they sat together in the dim light of the kerosene lamp, Adanne poured out her heart to her mother. She shared the challenges she faced, the doubts that clouded her mind, and the fear that gripped her heart. Her mother listened attentively, her face a portrait of love and understanding. "My child," she said softly, "patience is a virtue. God's timing is perfect, even when we don't understand." But Adanne, fueled by frustration and anger, couldn't contain her emotion. "I've been patient, Mama," she exclaimed, tears streaming down her cheeks. "But I can't take it anymore. I want answers. I want to know why everything is going wrong." Her mother's embrace was a source of solace amidst the storm of emotions. "Tomorrow," her mother said, wiping away Adanne's tears, "we will visit the seer. He is not just a healer, but also a seer. Perhaps he can shed light on what's troubling you." Adanne nodded, feeling a glimmer of hope amidst the darkness. She trusted her mother's wisdom and believed that seeking guidance from the seer might unravel the mysteries surrounding her struggles. With hearts heavy yet hopeful, Adanne and her mother retired to bed, their dreams intertwined with prayers for a new dawn, a dawn that would bring clarity and solution, and a renewed sense of purpose also. As the night enveloped the village in its embrace, Adanne held onto her mother's words of patience and trust, clinging to the belief that God's plan, though mysterious, always unfolded in His perfect time. Early the following morning, with a sense of anticipation and apprehension, Adanne and her mother embarked on the journey to the neighboring village, where the renowned seer resided. The path ahead seemed veiled in uncertainty, but they held on to hope that the seer would shed light on Adanne's struggle. Upon reaching the seer's house, they were greeted by a serene atmosphere, the air tinged with a sense of ancient wisdom and spiritual presence. The seer, a vulnerable man with deep knowing eyes, welcomed them into his humble abode. As Adanne stood before the seer, her heart pounding with a mix of eagerness and trepidation, the seer looked at her intently and spoke words that resonated with both caution and insight. "Child," the seer began, his voice carrying the weight of experience, "do not be in a haste to amass wealth. Do not let greed or impatience lead you astray. And above all, avoid anything that goes against the laws of goodness and righteousness. It will not go well for you in the end." Adanne listened attentively, her mind grappling with the seer's words. Deep within her heart, the desire for success and financial stability burned bright. Yet she couldn't ignore the wisdom in the seer's counsel. Adanne's mother, grateful for the seer's guidance, explained in details the challenges her daughter had been facing. The seer listened with empathy, nodding occasionally as if understanding the complexities of Adanne's journey. After hearing their story, the seer reassured them, "My child, you are not cursed. Your struggles are part of life's tests, and how you navigate them will shape your destiny." Adanne's mother sighed with relief, her faith in the seer's words strengthening her resolve. They thanked the seer for his time and wisdom before taking their leave. As they walked back home, a silence enveloped Adanne. Her thoughts were a whirlwind of emotions and contemplation. She wanted success. She wanted to make her mother proud, but she also understood the importance of walking the path of righteousness. Later that day, in the quiet of their home, Adanne broke the silence. "Mama," she said, her voice resolute, "I will do whatever it takes to succeed in this life. I want to provide for us and have a good life." Her mother, with a mix of understanding and concern, replied, "My dear, I know your heart desires, but remember, success achieved through righteousness is lasting and fulfilling. Do not stray from the path of goodness." That evening, as Adanne prepared to return to Owerri, her mother's words echoed in her mind. She promised to be careful and avoid any wrongdoings in the quest for success. With a determined spirit and a renewed sense of purpose, Adanne bid farewell to her village, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. And so, as the sun set over the horizon, casting golden hues over the village, Adanne set forth on her journey back to Owerri, carrying with her the wisdom of the seer and the love and guidance of her mother. In the days that followed Adanne's return to Owerri, she threw herself into her business with renewed determination. However, a subtle change crept into her life. She began to drift away from her faith, feeling that her prayers had gone unanswered despite her struggles. "I can't keep doing all this for God," Adanne muttered to herself one day, frustration evident in her voice. "What good has it brought to me? I need to find solution on my own." With that decision weighing heavily on her heart, Adanne stopped praying regularly and attending church services. She focused solely on her business, determined to find success through her own efforts. One fateful day, as Adanne prepared her food in her shop for the day's sales, She noticed a tall, black, mean-looking man approaching. His demeanor was intimidating at first, but a friendly smile softened the features as she greeted him. "Good morning," the man said, his voice surprisingly gentle. "My name is Okala. What delicious meals do you have today?" Adanne, taken aback by the sudden appearance of this new customer, replied instantly, "Um, I have some jollof rice and fried plantain today." Okala's smile widened. "Perfect. I will have that, please." As Adanne served Okala his meal, she couldn't shake off the feeling of unease. She had never seen this man around before, and his presence felt somewhat mysterious to her. After finishing his meal, Okala thanked Adanne, paid and left, but he returned the next day, and the day after that. Each time he would order food for himself and sometimes request takeaway meals for his colleagues at their office. Adanne, despite her initial apprehension, found herself growing fond of Okala's visit. His friendly demeanor and regular patronage brought a sense of joy and validation to her struggling business. "Thank you for coming back," Adanne said one day as she served Okala his meal. "I appreciate your support." Okala smiled warmly. "Your food is delicious, Adanne. It's a pleasure to eat here." As days turned into weeks, Okala's visit became a routine, and Adanne found herself looking forward to his cheerful presence. She started cooking larger portions again, confident that her food would not go to waste with Okala as a loyal customer. As Okala made his way to Adanne's shop that fateful day, his mind was filled with thoughts of the woman he had grown fond of. He couldn't shake off the feeling that Adanne deserved more, that there was a solution to her business struggles beyond what she could see. Upon reaching the area near Adanne's shop, Okala glanced at a nearby food shop bustling with customers. People were lined up, eagerly waiting to be served, and a commotion ensued as they jostled for their turn. Okala's eyes widened in surprise as he observed the chaotic scene. Among the crowd, he recognized a familiar face, the woman who frequented their mortuary to collect water used for bathing corpses. She was always attended by Okala's colleague, Metu. The realization hit Okala like a bolt of lightning. He remembered Adanne's struggles, her determination, her kindness despite her hardships. A surge of emotion welled up within him as he contemplated how much he cared for her. "I can't just stand and watch her suffer," Okala thought to himself, his heart racing with resolve. Determined to help Adanne, Okala decided to talk to her about a solution he believed could change her fortunes. As he arrived at her shop, he greeted her warmly and ordered his usual meal. After finishing his food, Okala leaned in closer to Adanne and spoke earnestly. "Adanne, I've been thinking a lot about your situation. I believe I know someone who can help you." Adanne looked at him with a mixture of curiosity and hope. "Someone who can help me?" she asked, her voice tinged with anticipation. "Yes," Okala replied, his eyes shining with conviction. "There's a powerful spiritual man I know. He has helped many people in similar situations. I believe he can make your business start booming." Adanne's heart skipped a beat at the prospect of a solution to her struggles. The desperation she felt for change outweighed any skepticism she might have had. "Really?" Adanne exclaimed, her eyes lighting up with hope. "Yes," Okala affirmed, "but we must act quickly. Tomorrow, let's visit the man's shrine. He can guide us on what steps to take. Adanne nodded eagerly, gratitude shining in her eyes. Thank you, Okala. I'm willing to try anything at this point. With a sense of determination and newfound hope, Adanne and Okala parted ways that day, their minds set on the possibility of a brighter future. The next day dawned with a mix of anticipation and apprehension as Okala and Adanne made their way to the native doctor's place. Upon arriving, they were ushered into a dimly lit room where the native doctor sat, a shroud of mystery surrounding him. The native doctor, with a piercing gaze, asked Okala to let Adanne speak for herself. Adanne, gathering her courage, explained her desires and struggles to the native doctor. She poured out her heart, seeking solutions to her business woes. The native doctor listened intently, his expression unreadable. After a moment of silence, he spoke in a deep, commanding voice. Your mother is the one holding your prosperities, he declared, causing Adanne to gasp in shock and disbelief. She stumbled backward, overwhelmed by the weight of his words. Okala quickly came to her aid, helping her regain her composure. The native doctor continued, emphasizing that what Adanne needed were solutions, not tears or emotions. Adanne, though shaking, mustered the courage to ask, what solutions do I need? The native doctor's response set a chill down Adanne's spine. He outlined the sacrifices required: a native fowl, 4 pigeon eggs, and Adanne's own poo. Adanne's eyes widened in horror at the mention of such bizarre sacrifices. Feeling a surge of hesitation and doubt, Adanne turned to Okala. I don't think I can do this, she whispered, her voice trembling. It's too much. But Okala, with a firm resolve, urged her to proceed. It's too late to turn back now, he insisted, his tone unwavering. You agreed to come with me, and we must see this through. Adanne, torn between fear and desperation, decided to trust Okala's judgment for the first time being. As they walked back home, her mind raced with questions and Okala's identity and intentions. Who are you, Okala? Adanne asked, curiosity lacing her words. And where do you work? Okala's smile was enigmatic. Calm down. I will tell you that soon. For now, let's find solution to your problems. Patience, Adanne. All will be revealed in due time. That night, Adanne found it difficult to sleep. Her mind was consumed with thoughts of the native doctor's demand, Okala's mysterious demeanor, and the unsettling turn of events. Despite her unease, she decided to wait until tomorrow, hoping for answers that would bring clarity to her tumultuous journey. Early the next morning, Adanne waited eagerly at the junction for Okala. She was anxious, yet determined to get the items the native doctor demanded for the rituals. When Okala arrived, he surprised her by saying he couldn't accompany her to the market. I have to go somewhere, Okala explained. You go ahead, and I will meet you later. Adanne, though puzzled, agreed and set off to the market alone. Unknown to her, Okala harbored a dark secret. He was a ghost seeking revenge for his family's tragic death. As Adanne returned from the market with the required items, she found Okala waiting for her at the same junction. Together, they made their way to the native doctor's place, carrying the native fowl, the pigeon eggs, and other necessities. The native doctor wasted no time and began the rituals. Adanne watched in a mix of shock and fear as the ceremony unfolded. Her shock turned to horror when she was told that she would have to cook her food with water used in bathing corpses from the mortuary. "Where will I get such water?" Adanne exclaimed, her voice trembling with fear. "Don't worry," Okala reassured her. "I will help you and supply the water myself." Despite her unease, Adanne reluctantly agreed, swayed by the promise of a solution to her business woes. After the rituals were completed, the native doctor advised Adanne to give thanksgiving annually to maintain the effectiveness of the charm. Adanne, desperate for change, accepted without fully grasping the consequences. As they walked home, Adanne's mind buzzed with questions. She turned to Okala and asked about his background and family. "I am from Abia State, and my family lives there too," Okala replied smoothly. Adanne nodded, but a lingering sense of unease gnawed at her. Something about Okala didn't sit right with her, but she couldn't articulate her suspicions that day. The air was heavy with secrets and uncertainties as Adanne and Okala continued their journey home, unaware of the dark forces at play and the challenges that lay ahead. Adanne's business soared to new heights after the rituals at the native doctor's shrine. Within a week, her restaurant was bustling with customers, and word of mouth spread like wildfire. People lined up eagerly, and Adanne's cooking became renowned in the city. Under a month, Adanne expanded her business, renting a spacious modern restaurant and even purchasing a luxurious mansion for herself. Her wealth grew massively, and she basked in the glory of her success. But amidst her newfound riches, Adanne forgot the promise she made at the native doctor's shrine to give yearly thanksgiving and renew her sacrifices. The lure of wealth and materialism consumed her, blinding her to the consequences of breaking her vow. She stopped talking to her mother just because of what the native doctor told her. So she felt her mother was her problem. And even her own mother sensed the tainted nature of Adanne's wealth and refused to accept any gift or money from her. Their relationship strained as Adanne became more engrossed in her worldly possessions. Furthermore, rumors and jealousy swirled around Adanne. Other women in the restaurant business grew envious and some even spread malicious gossip about her. Marriage suffered as men flocked to Adanne's restaurant, causing rifts and conflict in their homes. As time passed, Okala, who had been a guiding force in Adanne's journey, reminded her of her unfulfilled promise. But Adanne, consumed by her success and riches, kept postponing the renewal of her sacrifices. 2 years went by, and one day, Okala visited Adanne with a heavy heart. He informed her that he would be leaving and wouldn't return. Adanne felt a pang of sadness at the news, realizing that Okala had been a constant presence in her life. "I wish you well," Adanne said, her voice tinged with regret. Okala nodded, his gaze filled with a mix of disappointment and resignation. "Remember your promises, Adanne," he said before bidding her farewell. As Okala departed, Adanne was left to ponder the consequences of her choices. Her wealth had come at a cost, straining relationships and tarnishing her reputation. Yet, in the midst of it all, a sense of emptiness gnawed at her, a realization that true happiness couldn't be bought with money or gained through deceitful means. Adanne stood at a crossroad, uncertain of what the future held and haunted by the echoes of forgotten promises. As time marched on, Adanne's world crumbled around her. The once thriving business she built with dreams and determination began to falter. Customers dwindled and whispers of misfortune surrounded her restaurant. Workers resigned one after another, leaving Adanne to face the mounting challenges alone. Tragedy struck when people who ate at her restaurant fell ill and in some cases died. Rumors spread like wildfire, casting a shadow of doubt and fear over Adanne's once glowing reputation. Married women, fueled by jealousy and anger, confronted Adanne at her restaurant, accusing her of luring their husbands away. They hurled insults and threats, warning her to stay away from their families. To add to her woes, the government demolished the house Adanne had bought, leaving her homeless with nowhere else to go. She resorted sleeping in her struggling restaurant, surrounded by the remnants of her shattered dreams. One restless night, as Adanne lay awake, her mind tormented by regret and despair, she remembered the forgotten vow she made at the native doctor's shrine. With a flicker of hope amidst the darkness, she decided to seek redemption. The next day, Adanne set out for the native doctor's shrine, her heart heavy with guilt and sorrow. But upon arrival, she received devastating news. The native doctor had passed away a few months ago. Adanne's world crumbled once again, feeling like she had lost her last hope for salvation. Lost and penniless, Adanne wept bitterly, mourning not only her losses but also the choices that had led her down this path. She wondered about Okala, the enigmatic figure who had played a role in her downfall. His whereabouts remained a mystery, adding to Adanne's sense of abandonment and despair. Despite the crushing weight of her circumstances, Adanne gathered the strength to return to her restaurant. It stood as a haunting reminder of her past ambitions and the consequences of her actions. The once bustling eatery now echoed with emptiness, a stark contrast to the lively atmosphere it once exuded. Adanne faced an uncertain future, grappling with the harsh reality of her choices and the harsher consequences they brought. As Adanne approached her restaurant, a sense of devastation unfolded before her. The once vibrant building was engulfed in flames, casting an air glow against the night sky. Confusion and fear gripped her as she struggled to comprehend the destruction before her. A group of women, accompanied by police officers, stood by, their gazes fixed on Adanne as she arrived. Sensing danger, Adanne instinctively fled, seeking refuge in the familiarity of her church. In the pastor's office, tears streamed down Adanne's cheeks as she poured out her heart, recounting the series of events that had led to her downfall. The pastor listened with a heavy heart, reflecting on the warnings he had given Adanne about patience and trusting in God's timing. "You see, my child," the pastor began gently, "desperation can lead us down paths we never imagined. I warned you, but you chose a different course." With sorrowful eyes, the pastor shared a cautionary tale of a ghost who preyed on the desperate, leading them astray with false promises of wealth and success. Adanne's heart sank as she realized the truth behind Okala's intentions. In that moment of clarity, the pastor offered a prayer of repentance and healing for Adanne. He urged her to seek forgiveness from those she had wronged and to reconcile with her past. Summoning courage, Adanne's mother arrived at the church because the pastor had called her earlier. Seeing her daughter in distress, she enveloped Adanne in a warm embrace, forgiving her without hesitation. Adanne's tears flowed freely as she begged for forgiveness, vowing to make amends and start anew. With her mother's love and support, Adanne returned to the village, humbled and ready to rebuild her life. She embraced simplicity and gratitude, learning valuable lessons about patience, faith, and the consequences of greed and desperation. And so Adanne's story came to a close, a tale of redemption and the resilience of human spirit. Though the journey was tumultuous, it ended with a newfound sense of purpose and a heart filled with humility and gratitude. The most important lesson in this story: it teaches us that being desperate or in a hurry to get things can lead to trouble. Just like how Adanne rushed into things because she wanted her business to succeed quickly. Sometimes we need to wait for the right time for good things to happen in our lives. Another lesson is to be careful about who we trust. Adanne trusted Okala because she thought he could help her, but he had bad intentions. It's important to take our time and think carefully before letting someone into our lives or trusting them too quickly. So the story reminds us to be patient, wait for the right time, and be cautious about who we trust. That way, we can avoid getting into problems like Adanne did. And with that, my dear friends, our story comes to a close. But remember, the magic of storytelling lives on, waiting to whisk us away on new adventures, where the wonders of imagination know no bounds. Goodbye for now, and may your dreams be filled with joy, wonder, and endless possibility. Thank you so much for watching. Please kindly comment, share, like, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more interesting stories.